to win games 0-0. I mean, all the guys the two guys they've signed so far, like hit at the Mendoza line, or at least in Heredia's case for no power and like a 230 batting average. I think it sets up exactly. You're spot on as per usual, Bob. I mean, your brilliance. I hope it just kind of seeps into me here. He's a great defensive center fielder, so you put 2 and 2 together and wonder, are they setting up a situation where Brian Reynolds starts games out in center field, and if they have a lead in the late innings, Heredia goes out there and plays center and Reynolds moves to like left or right? That's how I take this. And it gives them a guy who's a plus defender, using the baseball term, who can slide into center field and put Polanco or Reynolds in a more natural position.
Polanco has to play right field. He has to be good, and he has to be better. Whether or not that happens is another wild card. And who plays left then? If you start Reynolds in center, who's your left fielder?
I don't think the guy's on the roster.
That's my point.
Yeah,
they're going to still have to go out and get someone.
I mean, this is going to not exactly be music to the ears of Pirates fans, but I bet it's like a Melky Cabrera type. Might not be him because it's a new regime there, but when we get closer to March or February, when spring training rolls around, if there's a veteran that's still available, I wouldn't be surprised if they invited the guy in like David Freese a few years ago.
Or like, who was the guy they acquired from Tampa and then got rid of? And I
Corey Dickerson.
Corey Dickerson.
Smart move. That was one of Neil Huntington's better moves.
And then they traded him, which I still would have liked him
for very little.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to Mike in Oakland, who's on the line tonight. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
We're good, thanks.
Hey, listen, before I ask my question, I'm just curious, is Gene Collier not going to be on anymore, or is he only on a little bit now?
Hopefully he'll be on from time to time, just depends on how it goes. But yeah, Gene is one of my favorite writers of all time.
He's a legend.
He is. And so
yeah, he has a different, kind of a strange sense of humor, but I like him. I got used to him. But hey, Pony, I still like you. Don't worry.
Thank
it's not a knock on you, I promise.
Okay.
Listen, I just want to mention about the Pirates. I mean, Bob probably knows, and I call Richie as well. I'm very, very critical of them because of their lack of spending money. And obviously the farm system has been pretty bad. And I just feel like this is Huntington Part 2 or Part 3. I mean, all these signings are a joke. The WAR, .3? This guy's WAR is .3. It's batted .225 last year. I mean, do we have a player that can hit over .250 now in the lineup? I mean, I'm just thinking this is not how you win back fans, because it's going to take probably 3 to 5 years to start rebuilding the farm system to where they like it. And in the meantime, it'd be nice if freaking Bob Nutting would spend a little more and get some real legitimate major league players in here. I just want to get your thoughts, because I'm not looking forward to this season based on these horrible signings. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Mike, for the call.
I echo a lot of that.
So do I. I'm a big spend guy, especially in this division with all these other teams making moves. And they typically will make moves and make more moves. So, and the Pirates have to define what they're actually doing.
Thank you. I mean,
that's what they have to define.
Yeah.
Are they rebuilding or not? And if they trade Marte, that's another sign that they're rebuilding.
And that's what got them into trouble the last couple of years under Huntington, is that they had one foot in the rebuilding door and the other foot in, well, we want to kind of compete so people keep coming to games and keep watching games and keep buying season tickets. And they tried to have it both ways. Very difficult in life, Bob. Life lesson to have it both ways. Okay, you got to pick one here. And I think based on the Pirates' spending, and there is an appetite, I believe, for a rebuild. Not a 10-year rebuild, not a 5-year plan, but if you can reload and rebuild the farm system, I think fans would buy into that. But this middle ground, I don't see many fans yearning and clamoring for that.
And I think it's okay to be transparent, too. I don't think you have to hide behind anything. Just tell them, hey, look, we're trying to stock. And I think it's true what they're trying to do.
And
they
the
need
Brewers
to come
have
up
done
with
that.
people.
They've gone up and down, 2 years of winning, 3 years of rebuilding, 4 years of winning. I like that model.
Let's go to Kirk and Harmer. Joins us right now live on Pittsburgh CW.
Hi, guys. What's up?
Hey.
Prediction, Bob. Pittsburgh Pirates will have their worst season ever in the history of the organization.
So you're talking well over 100 losses. You're willing to, I mean.
Oh, way over 100.
So you don't expect any kind of moves moving forward at all to add to what they already have?
No, this guy's hemorrhaging money from these ski resorts. It's not going to snow an inch. He's losing $50 million, $60 million a year. He's not purchasing any caliber ball players.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Quite frankly, they still need a lot of pitching help. I look at all the positions I look at on that roster when I don't see pitching, and quite frankly, who's going to catch, too?
Yep.
I mean,
baseball to me is a total disgrace. I mean, the fact that we don't have like a salary floor and a salary ceiling cap that keeps these teams relatively close to one another and forces the teams at the bottom to spend more and limits what the teams at the top can spend, creates the kind of situation that we're talking about right now.
You're preaching to me. That's what
Right?
I've
I
been
mean,
saying for years. I can't stand it watching it because it's not an equitable system.
Yeah, and it means it's like we sit down to play a game of Monopoly. You start with $500 and you give me 10. Okay, let's see who gets Park Place first. You know what I mean? And that's baseball.
It is.
And that's not just Bob Nutting's problem, although he could be more vocal about coming out against it. That's on Rob Manfred and the owners from the big
They're in
markets.
denial. They don't even want to acknowledge
It's
that there's a
brutal.
problem.
They care more about a pitch clock and a designated hitter.
They're never going to make the game any faster, period. I don't care what they do. How do you make it faster? How do you get it under 3 hours? They've tried, or at least attempted, all these different potential it's not going to change.
Well, baseball, by definition, is a game without a clock.
I understand that,
People have
but
liked
they
it
talk
that way.
about speeding up the game.
Well, I know. How about creating a situation where you go into a year and you don't have 10 teams from the very beginning who are already waving a white flag? That's not good for the sport.
Not at all. And it may be good overall because they're going to drag in money from all the big markets, but overall, going into it, legitimately, teams like the Pirates really have no shot. And that's just the reality of it based on the situation. Now, that does not excuse Bob Nutting from not spending. He still can do it. And I know this about Bob Nutting, Andrew. I do think he wants to win. But I also think he is and he's a very shrewd businessman. He knows what he's dealing with. It's his prerogative to do it whatever way he wants. But in baseball, it's different than regular business. You can't just decide, I'm just going to do it this way. And you may make a profit, but you're not going to put yourself on the good side of your baseball customers.
Well, he's not going to go. He's not going to go into the red, or he's not going to go above and beyond, go that extra
You have
mile.
to. That's the difference of this business versus
Bob,
other businesses.
You're exactly right. I mean, when the Kansas City Royals, won their World Series, they had a guy that was known for being a frugal owner, David Glass. He went and he traded for Johnny Cueto. He traded for Ben Zobrist. They added payroll. They got to like the middle of the league in payroll, and they were rewarded for it. They won the World Series. And then now look at them. I mean, they've gone back down to the bottom, but the point is when they got close, the owner pulled the trigger on some big moves. I give them credit for that.
I do too, and that's what you had to do when you have the opportunity. And I think they had that opportunity here 3 or 4 years ago, and they didn't want to add to it. We're going to take a break, come back with her, Bill, Tom, all next right here live, Pittsburgh CW.